My boyfriend is crazy. He always says he's a monster from a horror game, but he washes my clothes, cooks for me every day, and even pouts for kisses. It wasn't until I was chosen to enter a horror game that the terrifying and perverted big boss held me in his arms and said with a smile, "Baby, do you believe me now?" My boyfriend disappeared again. He always vanishes for a few days every now and then. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. "GUBs, you're out for so long every time. Do you have someone else out there? If you want to break up, you can just tell me directly." "No, baby," the man's soft breath teased my eardrum. I felt like I was being enchanted and cooperated with him. It wasn't until I heard his low chuckle that I realized something was off and kicked him away again. "Let's talk seriously. Don't change the subject. Wife, I really didn't lie to you. Next time, I'll finish up quickly. Those players will come back to accompany you sooner. Don't be angry." He leaned in to kiss my lips again. Even though I knew he was lying, how could there be horror games in this world? But the handsome man in front of me, so handsome he made my nose bleed, was coaxing me with lowered eyes, and I always couldn't help but soften. "He's so handsome. What's wrong with me indulging him? Then come back earlier next time, or you'll be on the washboard." "Yes, my wife!" After I lectured GU Bays last time, he hasn't been home for a month. Calls to his phone kept showing unanswered. I was a bit worried about him, but not long after, I inexplicably entered a horror game. Before I could even be shocked, I heard a cold, emotionless electronic voice in my ear. "Welcome, player, to the A-level horror instance, Island Prison." I stared blankly at the drastic changes before my eyes. What I saw was an empty hall, surrounded by prison cells. At the same time, more than 50 people appeared around me. Everyone looked at each other. What the hell is this place? Why am I here? What horror instance? Is this a reality show disguised as a script? "I'm not participating, let me out!" Noisy sounds continuously erupted from the crowd. Suddenly, a group of prison guards rushed out from around us, holding batons. "What's all the noise? Shut up, all of you! Go back to your rooms or I'll twist your heads off." Sure enough, most people immediately started walking up to the prison cells upstairs after hearing the guards. I glanced at the number on my chest. The corresponding cell was on the 3rd floor, so I followed the large group upstairs. As I came to my corresponding cell, oh my god, I need to use my brain! Could everything GU Bays said be true? Before I could figure it out, the prison door instantly locked. Immediately after, a series of desperate screams rang out. I quietly peeked out, and my pupils suddenly constricted. I saw that the heads of the original prison guards instantly swelled several times, their faces splitting into 4 petals, directly biting off the heads of those who didn't enter the prison cells. The previously noisy crowd instantly fell silent. The prison guards quickly returned to their original appearance. They licked the corners of their mouths with some lingering desire, chuckling. "Didn't we tell you to go back quickly? Told you not to disobey." The blood-soaked floor was a shocking sight. Several timid people were directly scared unconscious. At this moment, it was so quiet you could almost hear a pin drop. Tap, 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 the sound of leather shoes rubbing the floor. A man in a black uniform walked out of the darkness. The previously slouching prison guards instantly stood straight, bowing to the newcomer. "Warden!" I strained my neck to look down, only able to see the warden's back. The broad shoulders and narrow waist of his back looked exactly like GUB's. After all, I used to squeeze and grab that lean waist every day before we broke up, yelling for him to slow down. The man looked around at the mess. A hoarse, cold voice came. "Clean it up. Make sure they all understand the rules. Don't cause any more trouble." The warden was about to leave when a prisoner directly facing the warden suddenly shouted, "I haven't committed any crime. What right do you have to lock me up here? Let me out now, you sissy." Before the sissy's words even fell, an extremely fast black-purple tentacle shot out from the warden's body, directly piercing the man's neck. The man clutched his neck, his eyes wide with disbelief. The black-purple tentacle retracted, shaking off the blood onto the floor in disgust. The prison guards shivered in fear and immediately bowed to the man, apologizing. "Warden, these are new prisoners. They don't know the rules yet. Train them well. If there's a next time, you'll be the one to die." The warden's voice was cold and emotionless, his footsteps not pausing at all. He quickly disappeared into the darkness. This made me, who had originally wanted to speak, instantly shut my mouth. It was clear that besides the prisoners, no one here was a normal human. Fortunately, because GUBs had previously said he was the boss of a bizarre instance, I had specifically looked up information about it online and had some understanding. I closed my eyes and began to sort through my thoughts. Suddenly, a cheerful voice came from beside me. "Are you new here?" A boy around 20 years old was sitting on the bed, looking at me with a smile. I nodded with some vigilance, giving a faint, The boy got off the bed and walked towards me, greeting me with a smile. "My name is Ding Dong. This is my third time in an instance, so I'm quite experienced. You can ask me anything." I quietly asked, "If I get injured or die in this instance, will it affect me in reality?" "Sister, you sure know how to ask." You immediately got to the crucial point. We enter the instance with our real bodies, so if we get injured in the instance, the injuries will carry over. As for death, well, you'll die in the instance and won't be able to get out. As Ding Dong's words fell, my brows furrowed deeper. Ding Dong's tone then shifted. "However, after clearing the instance will give corresponding reward items and points. If you're lucky, sister, you might even get some life-saving items." I continued to ask, "So how do you clear an instance?" Ding Dong smiled with curved lips. "Once the instance officially starts, the system will tell you the clear conditions. However, in every instance, as long as the Bazaar boss dies, the instance is considered cleared." He then added, "The side quests in this instance are complex. If you can complete some side quests, you might get extra rewards. Do you have any other questions, sister?" One last question. "Why are you willing to tell me all this? I don't believe in inherent human goodness." This kid in front of me doesn't look old, but from his previous demeanor, I can tell he's not simple. Ding Dong extended a friendly hand through the iron bars. "Instances are difficult to clear. It's hard to clear them alone. I want to find a smart person to cooperate with." "Clearly, sister, you're the one." I currently knew nothing about this instance. The warden who just came looked too much like GUBs. I wanted to investigate clearly. Although I didn't know the purpose of the person in front of me approaching me, I still nodded and agreed. "Okay, pleasant cooperation." Seeing that I had no intention of shaking hands, Ding Dong unconcernedly withdrew his hand. He glanced at the clock on the wall and softly said, "Time's almost up." I was slightly puzzled. What time is almost up? Suddenly, a piercingly loud alarm sounded, and the entire prison glowed red. The prison doors that had been locked at the same time all opened. Ding Dong came out and walked in front of me. "Sister, let's go find the clear clues." Facing a stranger for the first time, I maintained my vigilance. The moment I stepped out of the cell, a mechanical voice suddenly sounded in the air. "Welcome, player, to A-level island prison instance. Clear conditions are as follows. Kill the island prison boss, the warden. Survive in the island prison instance for 7 days. Find the warden's lover and deliver them to the warden. The instance officially begins." As the mechanical voice fell, the previously locked main gate swung open. Players rushed out of the main gate in a swarm. Ding Dong was about to follow, but I called out to him, "Wait, sister!" I looked at the main gate. With all this commotion, the guards can't possibly be unaware. If we go out the front door, we might run into those bizarre creatures. As I spoke, I scanned the surroundings and saw a small door. "Let's go through the small door." A few other people also quietly came over. As soon as Ding Dong and I walked out of the small door, a series of desperate screams suddenly came from behind us. "Help! Help! Let me go! Where are these monsters?" Immediately after, a broadcast voice came. "Prisoners are attempting a mass escape. All guards, mobilize. Kill on sight any prisoner found." After the broadcast, the people who had been tentatively exiting instantly ran like the wind. At this moment, the live stream channel was flooded with bullet comments. I didn't expect this newcomer to be quite clever, not getting led astray by Brother Ding. Brother Ding loves dynamic prey and won't attack personally. I'm really looking forward to seeing how long this newcomer can survive in Brother Ding's hands. Recently, this instance boss has been acting crazy. It's extremely irritable. If a player is encountered by the boss, it's almost indiscriminate attacking. Ding Dong and I came out through the small door. Even though we had already walked some distance, we could smell a strong scent of blood from behind. As I walked quickly, I surveyed the surroundings, looking for useful clues. Ding Dong, who was following me, suddenly asked, "Should we go with them?" I glanced out. Since the beginning, I had seen the crowd split into several small teams. Those teams were walking separately, probably not their first time teaming up. "If you know anyone, you can go team up with them. I won't be joining." Ding Dong smiled and explained, "I just thought, it's only the two of us. If we encounter bizarre creatures, our chances of winning aren't great. If there are more people together, maybe we can deal with them." "Is that so? Then you can go team up with them. I have no interest in teaming up." I finally understood now, after being with GUBs, why this guy often made me watch horror and gore films. And the plots he watched were always about various betrayals. As long as the protagonist trusted someone, the final outcome would always be betrayal. It got to the point where I developed a psychological shadow, so now whenever someone approaches me, my first thought is that they must have an ulterior motive. Therefore, I never trusted Ding Dong from beginning to end. Ding Dong's eyes darkened slightly, but he ultimately said nothing and continued to follow me. I made my way to the infirmary. The infirmary was empty and the door was locked. Seeing this, Ding Dong curiously asked, "What are we doing in the infirmary?" "Changing clothes." I pushed the window. Fortunately, the window wasn't locked. Otherwise, I would have had to pick the lock. After getting in through the window, I started rummaging around. There were still nurse uniforms left in the infirmary. I put on a nurse uniform. Otherwise, wearing this prisoner uniform would make me too obvious. Seeing this, Ding Dong also put on a white lab coat and praised me. "Sister, you're so smart. You even thought of changing clothes." I turned to look at him, my gaze a bit cold. Since it's a collaboration, don't pretend to be stupid. Ding Dong's smile on his face subsided slightly, and he didn't say anything more. After changing clothes, I began to think about how to get out of this instance. The 3 options given by the system undoubtedly made surviving in the island prison for 7 days the safest. The remaining 2 options both required direct contact with the instance boss. But this prison was like an iron bucket. Where could I hide? "Sister, I think we still need to take the initiative," Ding Dong suddenly said from the side. I looked at Ding Dong, motioning for him to continue. Ding Dong explained, "Among the 3 options the system gave, the second one seems the safest, but this island prison is surrounded by the sea. It's winter now, so we can't possibly go into the water. If we stay in the prison, the danger is too high. If the guards conduct a carpet search, we'll eventually be found, so I think we need to take the initiative and find the warden's whereabouts. If we're not confident we can kill the warden, we can first sneak into the warden's room and look for clues about his lover." Without hesitation, I nodded. In reality, I had a small ulterior motive. After all, the warden's back looked too much like GUB's. Since I broke up with him, I hadn't heard anything from him, and I was a bit worried. "Do you know where the warden's room is?" Ding Dong pointed to a map on the infirmary wall. Looking at this map, we can roughly guess our current location. From our route just now, this area should be the guards' quarters. We can go look over there, Ding Dong added. Now that all the guards have been dispatched to find prisoners, the guards' quarters are actually the safest place. I looked at the map, listening to Ding Dong's analysis. Indeed, I couldn't find any flaws. Okay, then let's head that way first. The bullet comments were already buzzing. "Brother Ding is awesome, he just tricked her into it." Given how irritable the instance boss is right now, that woman will probably be killed as soon as she opens the door. The journey was surprisingly smooth, and what I didn't expect was that Ding Dong actually knew how to pick locks. All the doors leading out of the prison were locked, and Ding Dong opened them all. We followed the path to the guards' dormitory. The dormitory had 3 floors and was eerily quiet inside. Ding Dong looked at me, lowering his voice. "Sister, this dormitory is very big. Should we split up to search? Let's meet back here in half an hour." He pointed in a direction. "I'll go look over there." After Ding Dong left, I walked in the opposite direction. The doors to the guards' dormitory weren't locked and could be opened directly. There was no one in the dorms. I continued up the corridor and came to a double-carved mahogany door. I frowned. This wooden door seemed too out of place. All the previous dormitory doors were plain iron doors. The sudden appearance of such an exquisite carved wooden door screamed, "Boss's residence," from a mile away. I hesitated at the door, wondering if I should go in. What if I walked right into the instance boss? Thinking about how there was no one in the guards' dormitory just now, I mustered my courage and reached for the doorknob, slowly pushing the door open. I tiptoed in, trying to be as quiet as possible. As soon as my leg stepped in, before I could react, the wooden door slammed shut with a bang. A hoarse voice abruptly sounded. "How dare you trespass into my territory?" Black-purple tentacles instantly wrapped around my waist. I felt my body lighten, then I was pulled by a strong force towards a figure. The person had their back to me, outlining a lean silhouette. Tentacles spread out from behind him, looking a bit menacing. The man slowly walked out from behind a table, his tone full of rampant killing intent. "I'll give you 5 seconds for a final word." As he spoke, the tentacles climbed up my waist and wrapped around my neck, ready to strangle me at any moment. I was forced to crane my neck, feeling the tentacles on my neck tighten little by little, but all I could think of was GU-Bays. Damn it, I'm about to die, and my mind is still on this scumbag. GUBs, where the hell did you go? As soon as I shouted, the big boss, who had been pretending to be profound, stumbled on his feet and fell to his knees with a thud. I was utterly bewildered. Was he faking it? I didn't do anything. The tentacles around my neck instantly loosened a bit, seeming to even carry a hint of flattery. There! They even rubbed against his neck. The boss's way of meeting people was too bizarre. The black-purple tentacles set me down. The man on his knees stealthily stood up, looking at me with a bewildered expression. But it was too dark in the room, and I couldn't clearly see the face of the person in front of me. I could only tentatively call out, "G.U. Bays?" The tentacles on his body seemed startled and instantly retracted. His originally hoarse voice rose quite a bit. "Wife, I'm not G.U. Bays." As soon as he said that, the scene fell into a deathly silence. I was shocked. So G.U. Bays hadn't lied to me. He really was the boss of a horror instance. "Turn on the lights in the room for me." G.U. Bays hesitated, fidgeting. I don't look good right now, you know? I'm afraid of the dark." The tentacles behind G.U. Bays immediately nimbly turned on the lights. The room instantly lit up, but my eyes were covered by a cold hand, allowing only a sliver of light to pass through. After a few seconds, the hand slowly moved away. I blinked and looked forward, meeting G.U. Bays' gaze directly. He wasn't much different from usual, except his complexion was exceptionally pale, adding a touch of femininity to his already handsome face. No wonder someone initially called him effeminate. Facing my direct gaze, G.U. Bays' eyes darted away, and he stumbled over his words. "Wife, how did you get here?" At this, I got angry. How should I know? I was sleeping soundly at home and got pulled in here. This single sentence made G.U. Bays panic. He immediately ran his hands all over me. I slapped his hands away in disgust. "What are you touching? This isn't home." G.U. Bays' brow furrowed slightly. He reached out and pulled me closer, his face grim. "Wife, only two types of people can enter a horror instance. One is close to death, and the other is a great evil. Although you're usually carefree, you're not a great evil. So that means you're about to die in the real world." "What?" I was horrified. "Did you leave the gas on at home?" My mouth twitched. "I don't cook. When you're not home, I always order takeout." The tentacles behind G.U. Bays furtively extended and rubbed my face. "No wonder your skin isn't in such good condition. Next time, I'll make more for you before I go to work and put it in the fridge for you to heat up. Don't always eat takeout." I picked up that tentacle in disgust and moved it further away. I hadn't forgotten that G.U. Bays used tentacles to kill people. "Your tentacles just killed someone this morning. Don't touch me now." G.U. Bays looked wronged. He released all the tentacles behind him and started explaining, "They all have different functions. This one is for tying people, this one is for killing people, this one is for moving things, and this one is for daily life." Seeing G.U. Bays rambling endlessly, I raised my hand to interrupt him. "Okay, I'm not really interested in knowing what your tentacles are for." G.U. Bays pouted sadly. "Wife, do you dislike me?" I looked at the person in front of me, dressed in a sharp black uniform, with a pale and innocent face, and a bunch of tentacles writhing behind him. "If I suddenly grew so many tentacles, wouldn't you dislike me?" G.U. Bays answered seriously. "Even if you grew a pig's head, I wouldn't dislike you." "You're the pig's head!" After exchanging a few playful jabs, G.U. Bays belatedly remembered to help me analyze why I entered the near-death state. What else could be the reason? Did someone break into your house and you ran into them? I rolled up my sleeve, showing off my strong bicep. "Do you think an average person can beat me?" "You're right, my wife is a Sanda coach, and one who won national awards. An average person really can't beat her." G.U. Bays looked a bit distressed. "Then what else could be the reason? Your body is in great shape. You can't just suddenly get a disease, right?" Seeing that he couldn't figure it out, he waved his hand at me. "Maybe it's a family benefit. Don't worry about it so much." G.U. Bays was speechless. Then he took my hand and walked into the adjacent bedroom. The decor here was particularly Western and vintage. "As long as you stay in the instance for 7 days, you can get out. It's especially safe here with me, so you can rest assured and stay." When he mentioned the instance, I suddenly remembered the clear conditions. One of them was to find the warden's lover. It was clear that G.U. Bays was the warden. My eyes narrowed slightly as I looked at him. G.U. Bays looked a bit flustered by my gaze and stammered. What's wrong?" He touched his face as he spoke. "Is there something on my face?" I stared directly into his eyes. "The clear conditions are to stay here for 7 days, or kill the warden, or find the warden's lover." G.U. Bays. You didn't add another instance to your collection, did you? G.U. Bays instantly panicked. He reached out and grabbed me, his gloomy face full of grievance. "Wife, you're wronging me. I've only had you from beginning to end." "Then what's with his clear condition?" Ji Yube's brow furrowed slightly. He couldn't understand what was going on either. He raised his hand and swore, "Wife, I've always been faithful. I would never have anything to do with any other woman." As soon as his words fell, there was a knock on the bedroom door, and a charming, sweet female voice said, "Warden, I'm here. Are you so enthusiastic today? Meeting me in the bedroom is so shy." The room instantly fell silent. Ji Yube's quickly explained, "He's not a woman." I sneered. "Right, not a woman, but a female bizarre creature." Ji Yube's shook his head like a rattle. "No, I haven't finished explaining yet." The person outside pushed the door open and walked in. It was a bizarre creature, with long hair, beautiful to the point of being demonic. He was also wearing a black uniform. The two of them standing together actually had a good CP vibe. Fei Bai's mouth dropped open in surprise. "Ah, there's another little sister here. Did I disturb you two?" Ji Yube's face darkened. "Didn't you know before you came in? What are you pretending for?" Fei Bai smiled artfully as he sized me up. "What? Now the warden has a hobby of playing with his prey? I thought you were on your period this past month, so irritable, killing everyone you saw." Fei Bai saw us standing so close and had a mischievous idea. She walked closer with a graceful, seductive gait and pressed herself against Ji Yube's. "Brother Yuan Chu, I missed you so much today." Before she could finish her sentence, she was sent flying 3 meters away by Ji Yube's. "Speak properly. Don't put slippers in your throat," Ji Yube said in disgust. Fei Bai got up from the ground, brushed off the dust from her clothes, and let out a light snort. "Such a bad temper. You hit people after just a few words." She then looked at me, who was standing to the side. "Little girl, don't be fooled by his face. Look, he just resorted to violence because he couldn't argue. He's definitely going to be abusive in the future." Ji Yube's tentacles quickly closed in on Fei Bai. Fei Bai immediately took a defensive stance. The tentacles only ripped open her shirt. Feeling the cool air on her chest, Fei Bai's face instantly turned ashen. Her originally charming voice became much more normal. "What the heck, Ji Yube's? You pervert! Why are you stripping me?" Ji Yube's completely ignored her, turning to me to explain. "Wife, she's a man. She's just a bit perverted and likes to dress as a woman." I subtly glanced at her. What if she's flat-chested? The tentacles behind Ji Yube's bent, aiming at Fei Bai's pants. Fei Bai immediately covered her crotch in fear and yelled, "You don't actually like that, do you?" After saying that, she quickly restored her voice. "I'm a man. I don't have a hobby for stripping in public." I looked at Ji Yube's with a complicated expression. "You actually like that?" Hearing this, Ji Yube's felt like the sky was falling. "Wife, she's just effeminate. How could I possibly like that?" "Hey," Fei Bai sounded a bit displeased. "You can't just attack my character like that. I just like cosplay, that's all." Ji Yube's coldly glanced at Fei Bai. "What do you want?" Fei Bai straightened his slightly torn clothes and casually added, "It's just us, so speak freely." Fei Bai then mentioned that the big escape had already begun and only 26 players remained. My heart trembled. I didn't expect the number of players to be halved in such a short time. "I know. You can leave now." Ji Yube's began to usher him out. Fei Bai pouted and snorted softly. He really is someone who forgets friends when he sees a pretty face. Seeing Ji Yube's tentacles about to fly over again, Fei Bai immediately changed his tune. "You two are busy. I'll head out first." Once Fei Bai left, the entire room fell silent. Ji Yube's seemed a bit flustered. "Wife, please don't be afraid of me." I looked at Ji Yube's without speaking. His head hung even lower. The tentacles behind him, as if sensing their master's mood, also drooped, hanging limply behind Ji Yube's, exuding an aura of low spirits. I chuckled like a quail. "I never said I was afraid of you." Then, I reached out and took Ji Yube's hand. "Besides, I'm not a good person either." Ji Yube's eyes instantly lit up, and his voice held a hint of surprise. "Wife, you're not afraid of me?" I was a bit speechless. I've been with you for 2 years, at least 600 days of watching various horror and gore films and all sorts of betrayal and gang movies. Right now, you look quite handsome to me. After all, the creatures in those gory horror films were all quite gruesome. Weren't you planning this when you made me watch all those? As if struck in the heart, GUBZ gave an awkward laugh. Isn't it just in case? As we were talking, a system voice suddenly sounded in my mind. Congratulations! Mission completed. Find the warden's lover and deliver them to the warden. As the first player to clear the island instance, you are rewarded with a B-rank defensive item, King Turtle Shell. Congratulations for completing the island instance in the shortest time. You are rewarded with an A-rank defensive item, Adamantine King Turtle Shell. Seeing my dazed expression, GUBs poked my cheek. What's wrong? Why are you spacing out all of a sudden? I think I completed the instance mission, I said. It said I delivered the warden's lover and rewarded me with 2 King Turtle Shells. The names of your instance items are too vulgar. Hearing this, GUBs instantly perked up, his back straightening. I knew it! My only lover is you! So, the third task was just for me to walk in front of GUBs. I had only been in this instance for a few hours, yet I had cleared it so easily. And he hadn't even done anything. Looking at the person in front of me, who was acting all sweet and clever, I pursed my lips and chuckled. I walked to the edge of the bed and sat down, casually asking, I've already completed the mission. Can I leave the instance now? GUBs sat down beside me and shook his head. I don't know. No one has ever cleared it this quickly before. There are usually 2 ways to clear a horror instance. One is to kill the instance boss, and the other is to survive for the allotted time. Both are for all players to clear. The instance boss usually only starts slaughtering players after the 3rd day. So, players usually need at least 3 days to leave the instance. Since this is your first day, I'm not sure. I nodded, and as my gaze swept over GUBs, my eyes unconsciously fell on the tentacles extending from behind him. When we were outside, GUBs always appeared in his normal form. It was quite curious to suddenly see him with tentacles. I reached out and instinctively touched GUBs' tentacles. They felt cold and somewhat like a snake. Upon closer touch, I could even feel tiny scales on the tentacles. As I continued to touch them, the scales on the tentacles ruffled slightly, feeling a bit rough to the touch. Looking at where the tentacles grew, I traced my hand down them. GUBs flinched and stood up, his overly pale face now flushed with a hint of red. He stammered, Wife, we're still outside, we can't be impatient. He looked at my expression and immediately added, If you really want to, I'll go take a shower first. I was speechless for a moment. This guy seemed to be thinking something inappropriate for children. Seeing him about to run into the bathroom, I grabbed the tentacles behind him. Unexpectedly, the tentacles wiggled even more happily in my palm. What's wrong? GUBs turned to look at me, then thought for a moment and asked, Are you impatient? GUBs' face flushed even deeper. His fingers went to the buttons on his collar, his fingertips moving slightly as he awkwardly said, Wife, although I miss you too, this is still outside. But it's okay. I've been a boss for so long. Creating a barrier isn't hard. I guarantee no one outside will hear anything. I stood up and pressed down on the buttons he was about to unbutton at his waist. I didn't mean that. I'm just curious where these tentacles grew from. The excitement on GUBs' face instantly drooped, full of resentment. Curious about this? Nothing else to be curious about? I've seen every part of you. What else is there to be curious about? As I spoke, I conveniently pulled down GUBs' clothes, revealing his chiseled abs. At this moment, GUBs actually looked shy, covering his chest with both hands like a little girl, but he didn't stop my actions. I looked at his back. The tentacles grew from his coccyx. The skin where the tentacles grew was covered with a layer of fine black scales. Can they retract? GUBs obediently retracted his tentacles, and his back immediately became smooth. That's amazing! My interest was piqued. Show me again! GUBs reluctantly let the tentacles out again. As the two of us were discussing, the bedroom door was suddenly thrown open with a bang, directly breaking the slightly ambiguous atmosphere in the room. Fabai had changed into a black uniform, his long hair tied high, looking less feminine. The sound of someone entering stopped abruptly. Fabai stared dumbfounded at the scene before him, stammering, Your progress is too fast. I only left for a few minutes. Meeting GUBs' slightly displeased gaze, Fabai took a few steps back. Ahaha, excuse me. It's not urgent. I can handle it myself. GUBs leisurely put his clothes back on. What happened? Faibai's eyes darted around, not daring to look at GUBs directly. Someone came in this direction. They have S-rank items. I'm afraid they're coming for you. GUBs chuckled, a hint of disdain in his cold voice. People these days really don't know their place, Fabai explained. This group isn't simple. The leader is quite smart. They've already reached your office and will probably be heading this way soon. Ji Baze curved his lips. Good, I'll deal with them all at once when they arrive. They're just a few nobodies. Why are you so panicked? Fei Bai looked at Ji Baze's confident demeanor and gestured towards me. I'm afraid they'll come in and see the one next to you. He's not blind. He noticed it when he first came in. Ji Baze has feelings for this girl. Usually in the instance, he always keeps a straight face and acts aloof, but when he's with this girl, his dog-like fawning behavior is simply unbearable. I almost thought Ji Baze was possessed. Ji Baze took a small step forward, shielding me. His tone suddenly turned icy. They wouldn't dare do anything to you, but what about him? He's a player, mingling intimately with you, an instance boss. If others see him, he'll be in danger. Ji Baze touched his face. I'll protect Jiajia. Fei Bai's mouth twitched. Let me tell you, this isn't for showing off your affection. It's for you to hide the person well. Ji Baze retorted, Jiajia is my wife. What's there to hide? Fei Bai was speechless. Love-struck idiots are truly terrifying. He usually seems so smart, but why does his IQ drop to that of a 10-year-old when he encounters a woman? I tugged at Ji Baze. I think he has a point. The man's expression softened, and he nodded in agreement. Wife is always right. Fei Bai got annoyed. You can't be this double standard, can you? Just as he was about to complain, his gaze met Ji Baze's. The words he wanted to say instantly got swallowed back. Fine, I can't beat you, so I'll go check first. If they really intend to force their way in, be prepared. After Fei Bai gave the warning, he nimbly left. Meanwhile, Ding Dong had been waiting in the dormitory hall for 20 minutes, with no sign of Shen Jiajia. He glanced in the direction I had left, a malicious smile playing on his lips. This little girl looks pretty good, but it's a pity she's short-lived. Less than half an hour later, a small team of people ran over. The leader, Brother Ding, called out, now that all the bizarre creatures have gone to catch players, it's temporarily safe here. Zhao Jingming glanced beside him and asked, where's the woman who was with you? Ding Dong chuckled casually. She probably died. Don't worry about her. As he spoke, he pointed to the area he had just searched. This way up to the second floor is the office area. Since that woman hasn't come back by now, she probably ran into the boss. Our temporary activity area will be here. Zhao Jingning glanced at his watch and nodded. It'll be dawn in 2 hours. The bizarre creatures will be back in 2 hours. Although bizarre creatures enter hibernation during the day, they'll wake up if disturbed. We need to find clues as soon as possible. A group of people nodded and followed Ding Dong upstairs. Inside the room, I looked at Ji Baze, who was sitting beside me, and suggested, how about you let me go out? Ji Baze's expression turned serious. No, it's too dangerous outside. What if you get hurt? I can't always be a hothouse flower under your protection, can I? Ji Baze fell silent. I knew he was worried about me. I lightly stroked his cheek with my palm. I have strength, you know. Ji Baze hugged me tightly and murmured, wife, why did you enter a horror instance? I stroked his head and softly said, you have to trust me. The tentacles behind Ji Baze unfurled, pulling me into his embrace, and he kissed me directly. I instinctively opened my mouth. The kiss caught me off guard, and soon I was dizzy. At this moment, the system voice kept ringing in my mind. Congratulations, player. You have received a spatial ring. Congratulations, player. You have received an SS rank defensive item, Heart of Protection. Congratulations, player. You have received an S rank offensive item, Shadow Blade Wings. Ji Baze pulled out a pile of items and stuffed them onto me. These are all things I've collected from instances before. Take them all, they might be useful. This felt like being a pay-to-win player. No wonder Fei Bai said someone brought S rank items earlier. Ji Baze wasn't panicking at all. He had even more items in his hands. You're giving all these to me? What about you? I'm the instance boss. I'm super powerful. Ji Baze hugged me, his voice full of reluctance. Wife, the bizarre creatures aren't scary. What's scary is the human heart. In the instance, never trust anyone, I nodded. As soon as I entered the instance, I immediately became vigilant, but I was still tricked by Ding Dong. If Ji Baze wasn't the boss, I probably would have met my end here. After leaving Ji Baze's room, I slowly disappeared from the man's sight. Fei Bai emerged from some hidden corner and looked in the direction I had disappeared, raising an eyebrow. Are you letting him go out alone? Ji Baze retracted his gaze, his tone much calmer. Since he entered the instance, he needs to have the ability to face it alone. I can't protect him his whole life. I can only let him grow quickly. He says one thing and means another. Feibai grumbled. You're clearly nervous as hell, and you even left your aura on him. Gu Bei's kicked him out of the door. I'm going to hibernate. Don't bother me unless it's an emergency. Feibai was annoyed and wanted to say more, but the door slammed shut. Meanwhile, after leaving Gu Bei's room, I walked along the corridor. As soon as I turned a corner, I bumped into two prison guards head-on. The guards were startled to see me too. The two immediately pretended to be busy, gesticulating wildly. Oh no, my hat, my key, is it not on me? Yeah, your key isn't on me either. Maybe it fell off when we were just killing someone. Let's go back and look. Yes, let's go back and look. Without giving me a chance to react, the two ran off, hand in hand in a hurry. I watched with a look of disgust. Such clumsy acting. The two guards ran for several kilometers without stopping. Phew! Scared me. Good thing we found an excuse and ran. Yeah, there's a bit of the warden's aura on him. It's too strong. It's like having a note saying, "This woman is mine," plastered on her forehead. Good thing. What if we scared her and he blamed it on us later? Guard A hugged his arms, shivering. Our boss has been as irritable as if he's eaten gunpowder lately. If we offend his woman this time, we'll be in deep trouble. Wait, where did our boss get a woman from? Guard B scratched his head, confused. That woman seems to be a player too. The two guards looked at each other and finally came to a conclusion. Our boss is playing the domineering boss's forced love trope. Inform the brothers. Avoid that woman when you see her. Don't let her get hurt or touched, and then blame us. As for the strange behavior of the two guards just now, I attributed it to the powerful items GUBs gave me, which scared off these bizarre creatures. I continued walking up the corridor. The livestream bullet comments collectively gasped. The woman's actually fine? She disappeared for so long before I thought she was long dead. So she didn't enter the boss's room? Something's not right. If it's not the boss's room, why is her livestream blacked out? Could she be some hidden big shot, hiding her identity to come to the instance? The bullet comments began to express curiosity about my identity. After leaving Gu Bei's room, I wandered around the bizarre creature dormitory. When I reached the second floor, I heard something rustling and pushed the door open directly. The people inside were startled, immediately assuming a defensive posture the moment I opened the door. Seeing that, it was me who entered. Everyone's expressions became a bit strange, their gazes subtly glancing at Ding Dong. Ding Dong, seeing my previously grave expression, immediately put on a look of surprise and took 2 steps forward. Sister, you're alive! I thought something had happened to you. Are you disappointed? I looked at Ding Dong calmly. Ding Dong smiled, placing a hand on his chest. I was very worried about you, sister. I scanned the busy people in the room. And these people? Ding Dong lied without batting an eye. We met by chance. It was a coincidence. I smiled, my tone sounding somewhat nonchalant. Is that so? I thought you deliberately led me astray, and then met up with your accomplices. How could that be? As Ding Dong stepped forward to say something, I suddenly felt a breeze at my back. My body instinctively dodged to the side. With a bang, a chair hit the ground, making a sound. I looked back and saw a tall, burly man behind me. Seeing that the chair missed, Zhao Jingning directly pulled out a knife to attack me. We're all friends. Why are you being so hands-on? Ding Dong interjected. Zhao Jingning immediately obediently put his knife away. I pointed at Zhao Jingning and said, he's so obedient. Is it still a chance encounter? Ding Dong showed no embarrassment at being exposed. His eyes curved slightly. Sister, this is a horror instance. When we look for partners, we have to find someone of equal strength, right? After all, it's hard to have an idiot in a team. Congratulations, sister, you've officially become our partner. Ding Dong extended a friendly hand. I glanced at it, but didn't reach out. Ding Dong, looking awkward, continued, sister, when you're fighting alone in an instance, there will always be times when you get tired. Joining us with trusted partners means you won't get tired. You've been scheming against me all along, and now you're asking me to join? Don't you think that's shameless? I said coldly. Ding Dong smiled. Shameless is better than losing your life. I won't team up with people who scheme against me and want to kill me. I flatly refused. Ding Dong lowered his hand, the insincere smile on his face gradually fading. Sister, are you really not considering it? It's easy to die alone in a horror instance. With partners, you can at least help each other out. Besides, this is your first time in an instance, and there's a lot you don't know. Join us, and I can share my clear experience with you for free. How about it? I silently rolled my eyes. If I wanted to know the clear experience, I could just ask GUBs. What's with all this elaborate scheming? He's such a good speaker. Was he a pyramid scheme seller before? Boss ding, this woman is unwilling to join. We might as well kill her to avoid future trouble. Zhao Jingning walked to Ding Dong's side and whispered. Because of Zhao Jingning's words, the atmosphere instantly became tense. A group of people stared intently at me. Before they could make a move, a voice suddenly came from behind. They should be in the office upstairs. Capture the escapees and kill them on sight. Everyone immediately realized that the prison guards had returned. Just as they were about to run, the guards pushed the door open. The two groups collided head-on. All right, now you can't run, even if you want to. The people in Ding Dong's team cooperated extremely well. Seeing that they couldn't escape and had to face them head-on, they immediately took up defensive positions. Upon seeing people, the guards' eyes instantly turned blood red, their faces began to split, and they opened their bloody mouths. Although I had seen many horror movies under Jiu Beizi's influence, seeing this scene in reality was still quite shocking. Ding Dong's group gathered together, attracting the guards' attention. I used this opportunity to quickly detour and run out. However, after running only a few steps, the system voice in my mind rang out. Player has triggered a hidden mission. Find the reason for your imprisonment and state the method of atonement. Reward: a random gift package. The reason for imprisonment and a method of atonement? This kind of thing should usually be in the archives. I ran upstairs. The higher I went, the darker the stairs became. As I fumbled my way up, the lights around the stairs suddenly came on. A warm yellow light. The originally dark and terrifying atmosphere instantly vanished. Under the light, the scene of the stairs came into view. When I first came up, the stairs were cold, rigid stone stairs, but now they had become quaint wooden stairs, as if I had time traveled. The inner side of the stairs to the right was a wall, and many paintings hung on the wall. I glanced at the paintings on the wall. Their styles were all very bizarre. The closest painting was a smiling girl loli, but the loli had blood flowing from her 7 orifices. Further back, there was always a painting of a burly man with a dog's head. The dog's head with an open mouth showing fangs. All the paintings exuded a strange feeling. Having seen too many such scenes, I didn't feel afraid. It was just that the path became more and more confusing as I walked. I couldn't help but murmur to myself, where is Jiu Beizi's office? After muttering to myself, I continued to walk up. After every 2 steps, I saw a striking directional sign on the wall. The sign was glowing green, like an escape sign in a shopping mall. I froze. No, a directional sign appearing in such an ancient place, doesn't that seem very out of place? The sign also read Warden's Office, followed by an arrow, meaning to go up. I hesitated for a moment, but still followed the sign upstairs. After I left, the paintings hanging on the wall suddenly came to life. This is the boss's wife, and she's quite pretty. The ghost Lolly rubbed her somewhat frozen smile. I even smiled to greet her. I wonder if the boss's wife saw me. Tisk, none of you are as sensible as me. I directly transformed into a directional sign. The corridor was lit up all the way, and warm directional lights were kindly placed on the walls, giving me the illusion of strolling through a shopping mall. The originally endless corridor, after going up about 2 floors, led to a large door. The door was ajar and opened with a gentle push. Compared to the quaintness of the corridor, the office area inside the door seemed much more normal. The archives were at the very end of the corridor, an iron door, rusted and mottled, but it looked somewhat reflective. I reached out and touched it, finding that the iron door seemed to have just been wiped clean. I was puzzled. Are bizarre creatures so clean now? They don't forget to wipe the door even when chasing people down? I reached out and twisted the doorknob. The door didn't open. It seemed I still needed to find a key. The bizarre creatures hiding behind saw this scene and immediately regretted it. They had been so busy wiping bloodstains that they forgot to open the door. This is a hidden mission in the instance. Usually the keys are hidden very deep. The bizarre creatures looked at each other, scratching their heads, wondering what to do. What if he really searches for so long? Won't that delay the time? Definitely. The faster this mission is completed, the more rewards there are. What if our boss finds out that we wasted his wife's time? What if he beats us up? You go get the key, we'll pretend to accidentally drop it in front of her. As soon as this was said, the bizarre creatures present nodded. So, while I was busy looking for the key, I stepped on something protruding. I looked down, and it was a key. I bent down and picked up the key, my mouth twitching uncontrollably. A key I just stepped on. Could it just happen to be the key to the archives? I took the key back to the archives, inserted it, and with a click, it really opened. It felt like playing a game with cheats. I opened the door to a pitch-black archive room. Just as I was about to grope for the light switch, the lights in the room suddenly came on. The archive room was full of iron shelves, stacked with wrapped archive bags. They were sorted by imprisonment date. I walked towards the 2026 section and randomly searched. After flipping through a few, I really found an archive bag with my name on it. I immediately tore open the archive bag and began to read. When I saw what was written on the conditions, my eyes widened, and I even felt like laughing out of anger. Reason for imprisonment: breaking up with a pure-hearted young man, leading to his melancholy. This reason must have been written by G.U. Bays, this scumbag. Pure-hearted young man? How shameless. The crucial part was that I also had to state a method of atonement. As I was thinking, a line of text appeared on the paper. Say the method of atonement aloud. After it is recognized, the reward will be directly issued. This question was too familiar to me. It was written by G.U. Bays. I looked at the content on the paper and hesitated for a moment, then tentatively called out, "Then I'll get back together with G.U. Bays." A line of text quickly appeared on the paper. Not firm enough. I'll get back together with G.U. Bays immediately. Not loud enough. I raised my voice a little. I'll get back together with G.U. Bays immediately. Not enough. Needs more sincerity. I gritted my teeth. That's enough. How dare you yell at me? I was speechless for a moment. This was a piece of paper with a temper. Fine, I won't get back together. I'm not doing this hidden mission. As I said that, I was about to shove the paper back. Suddenly, the paper immediately showed, "Congratulations, player. You have completed the hidden mission." As the text appeared on the paper, the system voice in my mind also rang out. "Congratulations, player. You are the first to complete the hidden mission. Reward: S-rank offensive item, laser great sword." The name was as tacky as ever. After completing the mission, I left the archives. I looked around and found that there was no one in the rooms here. Everything was fully stocked. I found an office and sat down to rest for a while. I casually flipped through some things and surprisingly found a few books. My Domineering Bizarre Lover, 108 Ways to Cook Humans, and He Chased, He Ran. Chasing Until the Overdue Period. This book really has personality. I don't know how long I had been reading when a sudden commotion came from outside. I immediately became alert and hid behind the table. Someone was coming. At this moment, the distant voices gradually approached, sounding like two groups arguing fiercely. "You stop right there! Aren't you going to explain what just happened?" A rough male voice sounded, followed by Ding Dong's familiar voice. "Boss Yu, you should be thanking me. If it weren't for me, we'd all be dead right now." Boss Yu looked at Ding Dong with a dark face. "We could have entered safely. You're the one who pushed him out." Ding Dong chuckled, his eyes slightly narrowed. "What are you pretending to be a good person for in front of me? You brought in a lot of new members this time. Aren't you just planning to use them as cannon fodder?" At these words, Boss Yu instantly fell silent. Ding Dong continued, "Let's complete the hidden mission first. Maybe there's something good in the random reward." As they spoke, they opened the office door. Knowing I couldn't hide, I simply stood up. Neither of them expected anyone else to be in the room, and both were startled. Boss Yu looked at me warily, his hand already reaching for his pocket. Ding Dong put a hand out to stop him. "This is my friend." Boss Yu glanced at me and only said, "I'm heading back first." Ding Dong looked at me and smiled in greeting. "Sister, I didn't expect to meet you here by such a coincidence." "No coincidence, I'm here to do a hidden mission." Ding Dong observed me, noting that I had no injuries on my shoulders. He asked strangely, "Sister, how did you get up here?" "I walked up," I said flatly. Ding Dong's face held a hint of suspicion. When we came up, we were attacked by the paintings in the corridor, and we also encountered a ghost-ridden wall that we couldn't get through. 2 people died before we made it up. "Why are you completely fine?" I shrugged. "Maybe I'm just lucky," Ding Dong chuckled softly. "I don't believe anyone can be that lucky," I shrugged. "If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. Or are you trying to kill me again?" Ding Dong immediately put on a smiling face and waved his hand. "No, no, those things before were just my subordinates being ignorant. Sister is so powerful, how could I possibly be your enemy?" I didn't want to beat around the bush with Ding Dong. People like him seemed easy to talk to, always leaving themselves an escape route. but they were the most difficult to deal with. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Ding Dong asked again, "Sister, have you completed the hidden mission?" I nodded. "I have." A glimmer of surprise flashed in Ding Dong's eyes. He subconsciously asked, "How did you complete it?" After asking, he seemed to realize it might be a bit presumptuous and quickly added, "I believe with Sister's help, we can complete the mission better and get out of the instance." Looking at Ding Dong's shameless demeanor, I immediately said, "I completed it with my mouth." Just as the two of us were chatting for a bit, a group of people arrived. I glanced over and suddenly saw a familiar face in the crowd, Ji-Yu Bays. He, a big boss, was actually pretending to be a player and had sneaked in. At this moment, Ji-Yu Bays' face looked much more normal, and with his dusty appearance, he really looked like a player. "Is the mission over? We still need to complete the hidden mission," Boss Yu said. Ding Dong also returned to his team. I had originally intended to pretend not to know Ji-Yu Bays, but then this guy excitedly ran out of the team and hugged me, then started crying like a tough guy. "Woo, wife, you're here too. I met so many scary monsters just now, they almost scared me to death." Ji-Yu Bays, with reddened eyes, played the image of a delicate, cowardly man to perfection. My mouth couldn't help but twitch. This man really could act. Now it was clear. Everyone knew they were a couple. Sure enough, after Ji-Yu Bays' little scene, everyone around them turned their gazes to stare. Ji-Yu Bays was thick-skinned and didn't care at all, still hugging me and whimpering. I pushed the man away in disgust, but his hands were stuck like they were glued with superglue, holding me tightly. "All right, stop crying," I comforted him, reminding him to stop overdoing it. Ji-Yu Bays seemed to be enjoying himself and began to complain tearfully. "Wife, when we came up just now, those monsters were too terrifying. Their green faces and fangs almost ate me. I almost thought I wouldn't see you again. Feel my heart, it's still racing." As he spoke, Ji-Yu Bays pulled my hand and placed it on his chest. I unceremoniously squeezed it twice. Good feel. "Wife!" Ji-Yu Bays looked at me eagerly, but I glared at him. Ji-Yu Bays could only rein himself in. He was afraid of overacting if he continued. It was no time for sentimentality. It was a horror instance. Boss Yue looked at Ji-Yu Bays' behavior and couldn't help but frown and scold him. Ji-Yu Bays hid behind me, complaining pitifully, "Wife, he bullied me." Seeing this, Boss Yue was speechless. He looks like a tall, strong young man. Why is he so effeminate? This woman came up the stairs alone and is unharmed. Her strength must not be simple. I need to be cautious and not offend her. Boss Yu looked at me, his tone much softer. "Miss, your husband was rescued by me from a bizarre creature." I looked at Ji-Yu Bays thoughtfully. This person was quite dramatic, even putting on a show of a hero saving a beauty. "Then thank you, Boss Yu," I said politely. Boss Yu waved his hand. "No need to be courteous. When we enter a horror instance, we should help each other. Are you interested in joining us? It would be good to have company." Although his words were polite, from the previous conversation, I knew that Boss Yue was not a good person either. Before I could agree, Ding Dong blocked me. "Boss Yu, Sister was the first person I tried to recruit. You can't just steal people like that, can you?" Boss Yu raised an eyebrow. "Miss Shen hasn't agreed to join your group either, has she? Why are you being so presumptuous?" Both looked at me, waiting for my answer. Unexpectedly, I gently pulled Ji-Yu Bays' hand and asked, "Who do you want to go with?" Ji-Yu Bays looked at Boss Yu and said softly, "Let's go with Boss Yu. He has taken good care of me all the way." I nodded. "Then we'll bother Boss Yu." Boss Yue shot Ding Dong a defiant look, then welcomed us. "Welcome, Miss Shen, to the team!" Then his tone changed, and he asked, "Miss Shen, you went up first. Did you discover anything about the hidden mission?" I pointed in a direction. "When I went up, I groped around. There's an archive in the corner, but the door is locked. I think the hidden mission must be inside." Boss Yue nodded. "Then let's split into 2 teams to search for the key." Ding Dong looked at Boss Ye, said nothing more, and directly led his people towards the archives. Boss Ye also followed them. Ji-Yu Bays and I stayed at the back of the team. Once the crowd was far away, I lowered my voice and asked, "Why are you here?" "I miss my wife." Ji-Yu Bays looked at me eagerly. I pinched the soft flesh around his waist. "Be serious. Don't say such mushy things." Ji-Yu Bays rubbed his waist and muttered softly, "This is being serious." Seeing that he was about to act again, Ji-Yu Bays quickly straightened his expression and said, "Neither of these 2 groups are good people. I'm afraid you're unprepared since it's your first time in an instance. Do I look that silly? I rolled my eyes at Ji Baze. Ji Baze leaned in with a smile. Of course not. But isn't that just worrying too much? How do you know they're not good people? Ji Baze explained. I sent people to investigate. That ding-dong often tricks new players to their deaths, relying on his youthful appearance and feigning pity to gain the sympathy of soft-hearted girls and then selling them off. And that Boss Yu on the surface kindly takes in new players and guides them through levels, but in reality he's using them as guinea pigs. The new players who follow him either die or get injured, and he still insists on acting like a benefactor. I looked confused. Then why did you choose him to be here? Ji Baze's face darkened, looking as if he had eaten something disgusting. Is that reason so hard to say? I asked, amused. Ji Baze took a deep breath, gritting his teeth. He likes men. My eyes widened, looking like I had just heard some juicy gossip. I looked Ji Baze up and down, asking curiously, what did he do to you? After all, when I first picked up Ji Baze and took him home, I was stunned by his incredible appearance. Ji Baze looked disgusted. Shouldn't you be worried about me? Why do you look so eager for something to have happened? I cleared my throat. Was I that obvious? I'm not looking for trouble for myself. Isn't this just me trusting your strength? I thought you definitely wouldn't be taken advantage of. Ji Baze snorted coldly, acting arrogant. If he dared to take advantage of me, he'd already be a corpse. Then how did you know he likes men? Ji Baze replied with a serious face. He hinted to me that as long as I was willing to be with him, I could safely leave the instance. I bit my lip, almost laughing out loud. No wonder Ji Baze was so overtly affectionate just now. He was clearly afraid that Boss Yu would take a liking to him. At this moment, the bizarre creatures hidden in the dark, seeing their boss's cheap behavior, fell silent. This feels so embarrassing. Can I unilaterally cut my racial ties with the boss? The boss I remember should be cold, aloof, expressionless, and a mass murderer, right? This cheap behavior? Is he possessed? Lord Feibai said that love makes people foolish. He was talking about bosses like him. The group arrived at the archive door. Several people tried to open it in turns. Despite various methods, the door remained perfectly intact. Boss Yu analyzed from the side. It seems we must find the key to enter. Ding Dong sneered from the side. Only an idiot wouldn't come to that conclusion. Boss Yue was about to get angry, but someone beside him stopped him. Now is not the time for internal disputes. We need to find the key. Random rewards are the most surprising. With good luck, you might even get S-rank items, which are better than the rewards for clearing the instance. Neither party would give in, so they simply took their respective teams and started searching. Boss Yu led a group of people upstairs. As soon as they reached the third floor, they felt a chilling wind. Boss Yu took out a flashlight and shone it down the corridor. What they encountered was a scene of blood everywhere. Red walls connected to the ground were covered in bloodstains. There were now two paths before them, left and right. Boss Yu looked back and said, "To avoid wasting time, let's split up." As soon as he said this, the new players instinctively huddled closer to Boss Yu. I felt especially at ease at this moment. After all, the big boss of the instance was right beside me, so there was definitely no danger. I proactively suggested, "GUBs and I will go this way. You guys go wherever you want." After saying that, I decisively pulled GUBs and walked into the darkness. Boss Yu looked at my unwavering steps, feeling slightly surprised in his heart but said nothing. He then led his group in the other direction. GUBs held my hand, his face flushed with shyness. "Wife, I can't believe you chose me first. I'm so touched, sniff sniff." I clenched my fist. "If you keep acting, I won't be polite." GUBs cleared his throat and finally returned to normal. As the two of us walked, the lights along the way automatically turned on. We then entered an infirmary. GUBs led me to sit on a bed, then pulled out a stack of papers and put them in front of me. I looked at the papers in my hand with confusion. "What is this?" "This is information I had people investigate. Read it carefully. Don't believe their nonsense later." I opened it and began to read, finding detailed character introductions. Ding Dong, male, 32 years old. In real life, he is a swindler. He relies on his youthful appearance to feign pity, gaining the sympathy of soft-hearted girls and then tricking them into being trafficked. Li Yunan, 40 years old, serial killer. This is Boss Yu. Their identities are far from simple. Trafficking is basically murder. The two of us were having a quiet time in the infirmary, while the people outside were being chased by bizarre creatures. After finishing the documents, I suddenly remembered something. I turned to Ji Bays and asked, "Were the words in that hidden mission written by you?" Ji Bays looked guilty, as if caught. He cleared his throat. "How could it be? It's just that the handwriting is similar to mine." I raised an eyebrow and hummed casually. "Oh, is that so? Since it wasn't written by you, then the matter of us getting back together." Before I could finish, Ji Bays immediately interrupted. "I wrote it! Wife, since you already said you'd get back with me, you can't go back on your word. I sent you so many messages before. You didn't reply to a single word of mine," Ji Bays said, clearly annoyed. He pulled his phone from his pocket and showed it to me. "It's all because the instant signal here is unstable. My messages often fail to send." I looked at Ji Bays' phone screen, which showed a long string of red exclamation marks. No wonder Ji Bays' messages in the real world were always intermittent after he disappeared. The signal in the horror instance was bad. Ji Bays pouted pitifully. "After you called me to break up, my messages kept failing to send. I thought you had blocked me." I felt a pang of guilt. Indeed, I had blocked Ji Bays. After all, his excuse of being an instance boss back then was too ridiculous. I had unilaterally assumed he had cheated on me, and then blocked and deleted him in one go. Now, looking at the phone screen, it was filled with Ji Bays' apologetic messages, texts, pictures, and various emojis. One video caught my eye. "Wife, I really didn't lie to you. I'm a bizarre creature boss. If you don't believe me, I'll commit seppuku for you." I clicked on the video and saw Ji Bays in front of the phone, slowly taking off his clothes, revealing his ripped abs. He even found a particularly well-lit angle to fully expose his physique. I was speechless. Was he committing seppuku or seducing me? I looked at the progress bar at the bottom of the video. It wasn't even halfway through. I wondered, is seppuku really that long? Sure enough, after taking off his shirt, Ji Bays began to take off his pants. My face darkened instantly, and I let out a choked laugh. "Why are you taking off your pants for a seppuku performance?" I held the phone and looked at the man. Ji Bays explained seriously. "Wasn't I afraid of getting my pants dirty?" The scenes that followed were a bit bloody. Ji Bays took a knife and stabbed it into his stomach. When he pulled out the knife, the wound on his body visibly healed. "Wife, look, my wound healed, right? I really didn't lie to you." About an hour later, perhaps having received no reply from me, Ji Bays sent another video. In the video, Ji Bays, naked in dim light, filmed his broad shoulders, narrow waist, firm butt, and long legs on display. It was a bit embarrassing to watch. Although I had seen everything there was to see regarding Ji Bays, the person in the video still looked a bit different from him in reality. Then, a black aura suddenly appeared on his back, followed by countless tentacles sprouting from his back, like something out of a sci-fi movie. It was a bit cool. Ji Bays was clearly quite satisfied with the video he recorded. "Wife, isn't it cool?" I looked at him, feeling a bit speechless. "How many times did you record this video?" The smile on Ji Bays' face faltered, and his words stumbled. "Not many times." Under my calm, questioning gaze, Ji Bays could only hold up 2 fingers. I raised an eyebrow. "Twice?" Ji Bays whispered. 20 times? My brain instantly collapsed. This person really had patience. Recording a video like this 20 times? A scene involuntarily flickered in my mind. Ji Bays, naked, repeatedly running back and forth, checking the effect of his shots, then choosing the coolest and most pretentious one to send to me. "You only sent it to me an hour later. You weren't recording videos for that entire hour, were you?" I asked suspiciously. Ji Bays fell silent. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Sure enough, that was exactly it. Then Ji Bays asked, "Wife, did you receive these messages?" I put on an indifferent expression and said, "I blocked you. I didn't receive them." Ji Bays' tentacles immediately shot out from behind him. "What? You blocked me? Wife, listen to my explanation. I didn't intentionally miss your birthday." Ji Bays' mouth was like a string of firecrackers, rapid words bursting out. Had I had the slightest difficulty hearing, I wouldn't have understood a word he was saying. "Oh," I nodded, indicating that I understood. Ji Bays saw how calm I was and was the first to break down. "Wife, don't you believe me? What else confuses you? You can tell me, and I'll answer you right away." Ji Bays was so anxious that he got up from the bed and stood in front of me, wildly gesturing. Or I can commit seppuku for you right here. Ji-yu Baze was a man of action. As soon as he finished speaking, he started taking off his clothes. Before I could stop him, the tentacles behind him also began to busy themselves. His hands were used to take off his clothes, and the tentacles were used to take off his pants. He looked so impatient that anyone who knew nothing would think they were about to have a passionate encounter right there. My face was covered in black lines as I stopped him. You've already grown tentacles in front of me. How could I not believe you? Ji-yu Baze's hand movements stopped, then he looked at me eagerly. Wife then, do you forgive me? Are we still the best? I looked at Ji-yu Baze like this, and slowly nodded. Ji-yu Baze happily bent down to hug me, spreading his arms and embracing me. Wife, I missed you so much, but I was trapped in this instance and couldn't get out. As he spoke, he rubbed his face against my shoulder, which made my heart race a little. A man who could act so spoiled, was handsome, had a good physique, and was good at cooking and taking care of people. Who wouldn't love him? I casually asked a question that came to mind. Can bizarre creatures freely enter and exit the real world? No, Ji-yu Baze replied definitively. I asked confused. Then how did you get out? Ji-yu Baze replied confidently. Because I'm the big boss. I laughed scornfully. Then why were you so disheveled when I found you? I recalled that the man was covered in blood and dirt, lying next to a trash can. After taking him home, I found that he had wounds of all sizes on his body. Ji-yu Baze lowered his gaze. A hint of darkness flashed in his eyes, but he quickly concealed it. I was ambushed by players then, and my self-healing ability malfunctioned. The system randomly teleported me. I didn't expect to so casually encounter my wife. Wife, don't you think we have a fated connection? You appeared right when I was most vulnerable and saved me, and you're so kind, picking me up and taking such good care of me. As he spoke, Ji-yu Baze let out a long sigh, his eyes full of concern as he looked at me. Wife, you're too kind. That's why I'm really worried about you in this instance. My mouth twitched. My picking up Ji-yu Baze wasn't kindness. It was pure infatuation. If Ji-yu Baze had been a little uglier, he would have died by that trash can. But this fool in front of me seemed to truly believe I was a kind benefactor. Perhaps this was the so-called beauty is in the eye of the beholder. This man put his hand into the girl's hand, then plunged it forcefully into his own chest. But he wasn't crazy or foolish. It was because the man was the instance's big boss, and only by letting the girl kill him could he leave the instance and return to reality. Duyan. This is a horror game with a 10,000% death rate. Just now, Ji-yu Baze and I reunited with everyone and arrived on the 4th floor. In stark contrast to the desolation of the 3rd floor, we could hear discussions from the 4th floor right from the staircase. The sounds were incessant, mostly curses. This place was actually a huge prison, but it housed bizarre creatures, not people. All the way, there were various bizarre creatures locked up, their faces contorted, constantly hitting the iron bars, screaming and begging for someone to let them out. I pulled Ji-yu Baze next to me and whispered, "What did they do to get locked up here?" Ji-yu Baze scanned the area and said, "They're just acting." I was speechless. I didn't expect bizarre creatures to cosplay. All the way along this path was full of prisons. When we reached the last room, the one locked up was actually a beautiful and attractive woman. The woman was wearing only a nightgown, sitting quietly on the bed, her long hair covering her, looking completely pitiful. When Ji-yu Baze saw this beauty, he instinctively pulled me back a few steps. I looked at him bewildered. Why are we hiding? Ji-yu Baze explained. The one in there is called Sorceress. She has the ability to bewitch people, but her method of killing is particularly brutal. She likes to dig out hearts with her own hands. Let's stay a bit far away so we don't get splattered with blood. The scene he described was clearly very bloody, but Ji-yu Baze said it so lightly. I raised an eyebrow. You're describing it so graphically. Shouldn't you tell me not to look, in case I get scared? Ji-yu Baze said calmly, you need to get used to such scenes. Under the sorceress's bewitchment, Boss Yu went and opened the door. The moment he opened the door, Boss Yu seemed to regain his senses and immediately backed away. But it was already too late. A strange smile appeared on the sorceress's face. Her long, originally loose hair floated in the air and rapidly coiled towards Boss Yu. Boss Yu didn't hesitate for a second. He directly grabbed the person next to him and put them in front of him as a shield. That person was quickly caught by the hair, their body lifted into the air and dragged in front of the sorceress. The sorceress directly plunged her hand into their heart. The man didn't even have time to groan before he died. Sure enough, just as Jiyu Base said, blood splattered far. Boss Yu, who was closest, was directly sprayed all over his face with blood. At that moment, everyone present instantly cleared their eyes, their faces full of panic. Boss Yu's face was grim as he backed away, a knife already in his hand. "Bitch, what did you do to me just now?" Perhaps it was because he almost died, but Boss Yu couldn't help but curse. The sorceress, stained with fresh blood, her white dress now blood red, her delicate face covered in blood, looked extremely creepy. She gave Boss Yu a sweet smile. "Brother, didn't you open the door for me? Are you disowning me now?" The sorceress walked out with light steps. Suddenly, all the other prison doors opened, and the bizarre creatures inside came out, surrounding everyone. Boss Yu's face was extremely ugly. He hadn't expected this hidden mission to be so difficult. The few people closest to Boss Yu immediately took defensive stances. "Boss, what do we do?" Boss Yu looked at the constantly approaching bizarre creatures, gritted his teeth, and replied, "We're breaking out by force." The people following Boss Yu were all veterans at entering and exiting instances. They all had life-saving items, naturally different from those new players who were just waiting for death. When the bizarre creatures approached them, they immediately began to attack. At first, Boss Yu and his group fought with ease, but as time passed, they felt increasingly fatigued. "As long as you're willing to leave one person here to be my bandit boss's husband, I'll let you all go. How about it?" the sorceress said from the side, adding fuel to the fire. Boss Yu agreed without hesitation. After saying that, he pointed at Jiyu Base. "You stay." After all, in the team at that moment, Jiyu Base seemed the most useless. Jiyu Base, who had been hiding in the corner watching the show, truly experienced troubles coming to your door while you're sitting at home. His smiling eyes looked at the sorceress. The sorceress's expression was slightly rigid. She had tried to rob someone, and it turned out to be her own direct superior. The sorceress refused, almost without thinking. "No, he's too ugly." Before she could say the word ugly, she received a piercing glare from Jiyu Base. She awkwardly changed her words. He's too tall, too handsome, too charismatic. My preference is unusual. I like short, ugly, and poor ones. Let's switch." Everyone present was dumbfounded. If it weren't for his power, they would have really cursed him. Seeing that the team was a bit quiet, the sorceress continued. "As long as you leave one person, I'll not only let you go, but also give you this key. How about it?" Those new players instinctively backed away, knowing that if someone had to be sacrificed this time, it would definitely be them. The sorceress looked around, then pointed casually. It turned out to be the man who was right beside Boss Yu. "Old Zhang, let it be him." Old Zhang's face changed. He instinctively looked at Boss Yu. Boss Yu looked at him and lowered his voice. "Old Zhang, you go first. When I get the key, you can find a way to escape." Old Zhang had also seen the sorceress killing. Now, with so many bizarre creatures surrounding them, if he stayed, he would surely die. His face turned livid. "Boss Yu! We've been through so many instances together. I'm not an idiot. If we run out together, there's still a glimmer of hope. If I stay alone, I'll surely die." Boss Yu's face was also not good. "This is for the greater good of the team. I can leave you some items to protect yourself." Old Zhang laughed sardonically, his voice unconsciously rising a few octaves. "Lin Yue, don't give me that bullshit here. I've been with you so long, do you think I don't know what kind of person you are? You want me to go to my death? No way." Seeing that Old Zhang refused, the nearby bizarre creatures kept approaching, laughing. "It seems you're unwilling to leave someone to keep me company. Then I'll kill you all." Boss Yu clenched his fists. "Since you're unwilling to stay, I won't force you. Let's run out together." Old Zhang, seeing Boss Yu give in, nodded. They were still in the instance. There was no need to fight completely here. He had just taken a defensive stance when he suddenly felt a sharp pain in the back of his neck, and everything went black. Old Zhang turned his head, his face full of disbelief. Boss Yue still maintained his facade of a kind old man. "I do this for the good of the team." As he spoke, he directly threw the unconscious Old Zhang at the sorceress's feet. "The person is yours. Let us go." The sorceress looked at the unconscious man at her feet, her lips smiling happily. "Brother, you just give up on your good friend like that? Stop talking nonsense. Where's the key?" Boss Yu stared fiercely at the sorceress. The sorceress, however, kept her word and directly threw the key over. Boss Yue breathed a sigh of relief after getting the key. Looking at the dense crowd of bizarre creatures on the staircase, he asked again, "What about them?" The sorceress glanced in that direction, and the bizarre creatures immediately, with trained precision, returned to their cells, opening a path for them. Boss Yue, seeing this, ran towards the exit without hesitation. The group followed him hastily. GUBs and I were at the end of the group. Before leaving, the sorceress shed her arrogant attitude and stood like a docile girl, even waving at us, making it seem like we were guests. Although we got the key, the team's atmosphere immediately turned somber. Just now, Boss Yu had ruthlessly betrayed his companion. Twice. Everyone in the team had seen it clearly. On the third floor, Boss Yu looked at the people a few meters behind him and couldn't help but frown. "Why are you all so far from me? I'm doing all this for your own good." Boss Yu continued to find plausible excuses for himself. Among those present, Boss Yu was the most skilled and resourceful, so no one dared to offend him. They could only move a little closer. Boss Yu didn't pay attention to what they were thinking in their hearts. He walked directly to the archives with the key. "Let's do the hidden mission first." They arrived at the archives and opened the door. Upon pushing it open, they saw Ding Dong already inside. Ding Dong saw Boss Yu and greeted him with a smile. Boss Yu looked at him and said, "You locked the archives door. Are you trying to cause me trouble?" Ding Dong chuckled politely. "No, not at all. I was protecting myself from the bizarre creatures. If Bashe hadn't found the key, you could have knocked on the door and shouted, and I would have definitely opened it for you." Boss Yu was not in the mood to argue with Ding Dong here. He walked past him and started searching for documents. Ding Dong's gaze landed on me, and he asked with concern, "Sister, are you hurt?" Ji Bays very unhappily stood in front of me. "None of your business," Ding Dong smiled, completely ignoring Ji Bays. "Sister, why don't you stay with me next time? I'm much better than your useless husband." I restrained Ji Bays, fearing that his temper would flare up and he would wipe out this entire group. "No need for you to bother," I said flatly. Ding Dong's eyes darkened, but the smile that didn't reach his eyes remained on his face. "Sister, in an instance, there's no need to be so emotional." As he spoke, Ding Dong took 2 steps forward, completely ignoring Ji Bays. "Sister, the things you get in this instance, when taken to the real world, each can be worth tens of millions. With money, what kind of man can't you get? Why limit yourself to such a useless person?" Ding Dong's light words carried a hint of temptation, trying to erode me little by little. I reached out and pulled Ji Bays closer. "I'm not short of money, just a man." A flicker of cruelty flashed in Ding Dong's eyes, but he quickly suppressed it. "Is that so? It seems I was narrow-minded. You are a person who values affection and loyalty. Let's do the hidden mission first." Ji Bays pitifully hugged my waist, imitating Ding Dong's tone. "Sister, he even said I'm useless." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was a pity this guy wasn't an actor. He could act anytime, anywhere. I gently patted his back and played along. "No matter what you are, I'll protect you." Ji Bays looked at Ding Dong with a hint of provocation. "Sister is the best!" Ding Dong was visibly annoyed. He probably didn't expect me to be so love-struck, still thinking about men in a life-or-death situation. He simply stopped feigning gentleness on his face. "You'll regret it in the end." After saying that, he ignored us and returned to his team, starting to complete the hidden mission with his companions. This hidden mission was not difficult. You could complete it as long as you chose some nice words to say. On the other hand, I also took GUBs and pretended to do the mission. After completing the hidden mission, Boss Yue began to ask the people around him what they had obtained. Those who had followed him for years clearly hid something, speaking very vaguely. Only the new players, without much caution, told all. One new player had incredible luck. He got an A-rank item, an invisibility suit, from the hidden mission. The expression on Boss Yu's face clearly showed that he was tempted, but he still suppressed it. He walked towards Ji Bays and me. "Miss, what did you get?" I didn't hide it, and took out my laser greatsword, perhaps because it was a laser, the greatsword felt light in my hand. The sword body was surrounded by a faint blue glow, which made its nobility obvious at first glance. When Boss Yue saw the greatsword in my hand, his face changed. "This is an S-rank offensive item. The laser greatsword," I nodded. I didn't expect Boss Yu to know the name of this sword. Hearing Boss Yu's words, many people gathered around. Getting an S-rank item from a hidden mission was incredibly lucky. Their gazes involuntarily turned greedy. Boss Yue stared intently at the glowing blue sword, his lips moving slightly. "Miss Shen, it's not convenient for a girl like you to hold this. How about I keep it for you for now?" As he spoke, Boss Yu eagerly reached out to grab it, but I dodged back, avoiding him. Boss Yu's hand hung in the air, with a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. Ding Dong let out a soft chuckle from behind, mocking. Boss Yu, your intentions are too obvious. You're trying to rob someone's item and still make it sound so righteous? Boss Yue clenched his fist, staring fiercely at Ding Dong. What happens in our team is none of your business. I kindly reminded Boss Yu. Before, we only temporarily joined your team. Now that the hidden mission is over, we can disband. Boss Yu's face was extremely ugly. Miss Shen, we are in a horror instance right now. Companionship is the most important thing. This is not the time to be whimsical. My lips curved into a sneer. On the 4th floor, you pushed Yuan Zhou without hesitation. You didn't treat us as companions at all. Boss Yue withered. That was just a distraction tactic. Didn't he end up being fine? I was too lazy to keep playing along with this kind of person. Sorry, I don't associate with people who want me dead. After saying that, I pulled Jiyu Bei's hand and was about to leave. Boss Yu's movements were faster. He directly drew his blade and attacked us. I pushed Jiyu Bei's with one hand and used the sword to block Boss Yu's attack with the other. Before Boss Yu could react, I gave him a quick and fierce kick to the stomach. This kick had immense force, directly sending Boss Yu flying. When he fell to the ground, he was still a bit dazed. I looked at Boss Yu, my expression indifferent. Let's part ways amicably. I put away the sword and pulled Jiyu Bei's, leaving directly. No one dared to stop us now. After leaving the archives, we returned all the way to the Royal View dormitory building. Jiyu Bei's hugged me, his face full of adoration. Sister, you're so cool. I tried to pull my hand away, but Jiyu Bei's hugged me too tightly. Act normal, Jiyu Bei's pouted. He calls you sister all the time, and you don't object. Why when I say it, you don't like it? I've only ever liked you. The sudden, sincere confession made Jiyu Bei's blush. He started to stammer. Hey, why are you suddenly saying all this? I said, exasperated. I was afraid that if I didn't say it, you'd break my arm. Jiyu Bei's grip on my arm loosened, and the smile on his face became noticeably wider. He followed me excitedly, his voice lighter. Wife! I quickened my pace. Jiyu Bei's quickly caught up. Wife, why are you walking so fast? Are you afraid that Boss Yu and his group will catch up later? Seriously, if an entire group of them attacks, I won't have it easy. Jiyu Bei's chuckled. Don't worry, they'll be busy for a while. I looked at Jiyu Bei's confused. Jiyu Bei's explained. The sorceress loves to play with emotions. Old Zhang will be released. He just experienced a betrayal, so he definitely won't let it go easily. Wife, where do you want to go next? After getting off the dormitory, Jiyu Bei's pointed in a direction and began to introduce. Wife, there's a coastline over here. The sea there is especially beautiful, especially at sunset. If I remembered correctly, his current identity was a prisoner, right? He was talking as if the two of us were on vacation. We're prisoners in a horror instance, not royalty. I reminded him. Jiyu Bei's muttered, What does it matter? I'll take you out. I don't want to be the most conspicuous player. I stopped Jiyu Bei's from trying to lead me out through a dog hole. Aren't you the big boss of the instance? Can't you make a cooler exit? Jiyu Bei's cleared his throat. This wall extends infinitely. You can't climb it, only crawl through. I refused mercilessly. No. Jiyu Bei's took my hand, and his peach blossom eyes looked at me moistly. I gave in. Okay, let's go out. After saying that, I crawled first. Jiyu Bei's also crouched down, sticking his butt out as he crawled, without a shred of the instance boss's dignity. The two of us crawled through a dog hole, both ending up covered in dirt. Upon leaving the prison, we felt the cold wind blowing from the sea, a bone-chilling cold. Although it was daytime, the sky was already dark and gloomy, as if a storm could break out at any moment. I looked at the weather and hesitated, asking, Are you sure there will be a sunset with this weather? Jiyu Bei's nodded firmly. Definitely. As he spoke, he pulled out a military coat from who knows where and put it on me. My body instantly warmed up. I looked down and realized it was the coat I had bought for Jiyu Bei's. How did you bring this coat too? This is the first time you bought me something, wife. When I miss you, I take it out and wear it, Jiyu Bei said affectionately. Such a sickly sweet romance. We walked along the small path outside the prison, and there was a watchtower. Upon entering, we found two people hiding inside, a boy and a girl about 10 years old. They were probably siblings. When the boy saw someone coming, he hugged the girl tightly, his gaze cautious. Brother, the girl whimpered. The boy gently patted her back, comforting her. It's okay, Big Brother is here. After saying that, He stood up and protected his sister. What do you want? We're just passing by, I said softly. The boy pursed his lips and scrutinized GUBs and me. After a long moment, we can give you this place. As he spoke, the boy picked the girl up from the ground, ready to leave. I stopped them. No need, we'll just go somewhere else, I said, leading GU Bays out of the watchtower. GU Bays noticed the change in my mood. He put his arm around my waist and asked softly, do you feel that the instance world is cruel? My body tensed slightly, but I nodded. Wife, once you enter a horror instance, you can't trust anyone but me. You have to believe that I will never harm you. Listening to his steady voice, I suddenly found it a bit amusing. Why are you suddenly so sentimental for no reason? GUBs took my hand. Wife, once you enter an instance, it will be endless, unless you die. I'm afraid I won't be able to protect you all the time. GUBston's voice was tinged with sadness. I wasn't a kind-hearted person, but seeing such young children have to experience this, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. But I quickly controlled my emotions. I'll protect myself. Holding hands, the two of us reached the highest point of the cliff. From there, we could still see the prison. Looking outwards, the entire prison was tinged with a thick blood-red color. I don't know how long we sat there, but the dark clouds in the sky suddenly parted, and an orange-yellow sun appeared on the horizon, gradually setting. The originally turbulent sea also calmed down at this moment. The sunset shone on the sea, tinging it with an orange-yellow hue. Wife, I don't think we've ever watched a sunset together, GUBs said, with emotion. I rolled my eyes at him. Do we have any other activities at night besides fooling around? At the mention of that, GUBs coughed unnaturally. Has he finally experienced something sensual after living for thousands of years? GUBs quickly tried to ingratiate himself. It's not my fault. My wife is too seductive. I stretched out my hand in disgust and pushed GUBs' head away a little. Don't make excuses for your lust. The sunset faded, and night fell again. All the bizarre creatures in the prison came out, leading to another great escape. While standing at the highest point of the cliff and looking inwards, I felt a sense of unreality. GUBs stood beside me and asked softly, Wife, was tonight's sunset beautiful? Beautiful, I replied. GUBs took my hand, his gaze looking at me with affection. Wife, I really, really love you. I felt a slight confusion. Before I could react, a dagger suddenly appeared in my hand. My wrist was pulled, and with a thud, the sound of a blade piercing flesh. I felt a warmth in my palm. It was GUBs' blood. GUBs' lips overflowed with fresh blood, his smile somewhat tragic. I frantically covered his wound, my eyes red with anxiety. What are you doing? Aren't you the big boss? Can't you heal yourself? Why isn't the bleeding stopping? GUBs showed a smile. As long as I die, the mission will be completed. Wife, you can leave. At that moment, I suddenly heard a mechanical voice. Congratulations, player. You have completed the death of the big boss, Warden. Island prison instance completed. Teleportation countdown begins. 10, 9, 8, 7. When everything went black before my eyes, when I regained consciousness, I was back in my house. I woke up abruptly, sitting on the sofa, looking at my familiar surroundings. My gaze suddenly landed on the ring on my hand. This was the Heart of Protection storage ring that GUBs gave me. So everything that happened was real? Was GUBs really the big boss in a horror instance? I took out my phone and unblocked GUBs. However, no matter how many messages I sent, they all sank into the sea. There was no response from him. I couldn't help but worry. Could it be that the stab I inflicted on him was very serious? I waited at home for 3 days, but still received no news from GUBs. The familiar mechanical sound echoed in my mind again. A rank instance doll mansion is opening. Players, please prepare. I took a deep breath. No matter what, I had to enter the instance. I was afraid that GUBs was really severely injured by my stab. When my consciousness returned and my vision cleared again, I was inside a luxurious mansion. The mansion's decor was very cartoonish, with dolls everywhere, as if I had accidentally entered a children's amusement park. The system voice sounded, Welcome, player, to the A-rank horror instance, Doll Mansion. The instance clearing conditions are as follows. 1. Do not let the dolls discover your human identity. Remember your role and safely spend 7 days. 2. Find and destroy the big boss's symbiotic doll. 3. Complete the mansion owner's last wish. Special reminder: doll bizarre creatures feel no pain or sensation. To completely eliminate doll bizarre creatures, you must find and destroy their symbiotic doll. Rules announced. After the rules were announced, the players who were in place began to move. I looked at myself. I was wearing a red Chinese wedding dress with various head decorations, dressed like a bride about to get married. The outfits of the people around me were largely similar, all adorned like dolls. Just as I was about to process the rules, a delicate male voice suddenly came from behind me. "Hello, I'm Lin Xuan. I think we should be partners." The boy's eyes were clear, and he wore a red and festive wedding suit like mine. "Hello, Shenjiaja," I replied indifferently. Lin Xuan's eyes instantly lit up. "Are you Shenjiaja? The Shenjiaja who killed the big boss the first time she entered an instance? Am I that famous already?" He seemed to realize he was too enthusiastic. Lin Xuan quickly explained. I watched your live stream last time. I saw that you are very powerful. I admire you very much." I nodded faintly, not wanting to make friends in this place. At this moment, I just wanted to find Ji Yubei's and confirm if he was safe. Seeing that I didn't respond, Lin Xuan became a little anxious. "Sister Shen, according to our outfits, we should be partners. For safety, we should stick together." My steps did not falter. Seeing their obviously matching wedding outfits, I compromised a little. They probably looked like wedding dolls. However, if Ji Yubei saw this outfit, he would probably be incredibly jealous. Lin Xuan leaned in. "Sister Shen, what mission do you plan to complete? We can cooperate on anything." Just then, the system notification sounded. "The mansion owner will return in half an hour. Players, please find your positions. Warning: do not let any bizarre creature discover your identity as a player." After the system announcement ended, the players who were in the courtyard began to run inside. I also guided Lin Xuan inside. Compared to other players, our outfits provided very clear clues. We went directly to the 3rd floor, searching room by room, and finally found a room decorated like a bridal chamber. Although it was a bridal chamber, there were rows of dolls placed on the headboard and on the right side. It was clear that the person in the room had a particular fondness for dolls. All these dolls were life-sized, but their facial expressions were twisted. Some terrified, some desperate, none of them normal. There were also 2 spaces at the head of the bed and 2 circles on the floor, as if specially prepared for them. I guided Lin Xuan to stand there. After Lin Xuan stood there, he asked anxiously, "Sister Shen, what should we do next?" I thought for a moment, extracting useful clues from the mission, and reminded him, "No matter what happens, just stand still and don't move or speak." Lin Xuan nodded obediently, agreeing. Okay. Once the 2 of us stopped talking, the room instantly fell silent. Along with the creepy doll surrounding us, it felt somewhat unsettling and strange. Lin Xuan couldn't bear the silence anymore and spoke again. "Sister Shen, this is the 2nd time I've entered an instance. I heard them say that the death rate for A-rank instances is very high. Will we die here?" "You won't, if you're obedient." "Sister Shen, why did you come in?" Lin Xuan asked curiously. I interrupted his chattering. "The mansion owner is about to return." "Shut up." About 4 or 5 minutes later, the room door opened from outside. A woman in a princess dress walked in. She was exquisitely dressed and beautiful, skipping and humming a song. She walked around her room, then her gaze suddenly landed on Lin Xuan and me. "Huh? I remember these dolls didn't have these expressions." As she spoke, a strange smile appeared on the woman's face, and her voice murmured, "Could it be they're not my dolls? Are they humans disguised?" The 2 of us continued to stand still. The woman was not in a hurry. She took out a pair of sharp scissors from a drawer and slowly walked towards us, her face showing excitement. Then, she suddenly plunged the scissors into a nearby doll. The cotton stuffing from the doll's body spilled out. The woman withdrew her hand with some disappointment. "Oh, it really is a doll," as she spoke. She had already walked in front of Lin Xuan and me, pressing the scissors against my stomach with a smile on her face. "Want to know if it's a human disguised? Just 1 stab and you'll know." At her words, I remained still. The woman had stabbed the doll without hesitation, but when facing me, she said a lot of nonsense, as if expecting me to show some weakness. Seeing that I didn't move, the woman's hand holding the scissors exerted a little more force. I could clearly feel the sharp sensation on my stomach, as if it was about to pierce me. Just as the atmosphere was tense, a man entered from outside. "Luo, Luo, what are you doing?" The man's low, elegant voice came. The woman heard the voice and immediately put away the scissors, her face full of strong disappointment. I just thought this doll was a bit abnormal, she sighed. The man reprimanded her. Your wedding is in 3 days. Don't cause trouble. My gaze landed on the man. The man wore a suit. His face had a 70% resemblance to G.U. Bei's. G.U. Bei's gaze moved in my direction, taking a quick glance before withdrawing his eyes, acting as if he didn't know me. Luo Luo threw the scissors to the ground and walked towards G.U. Bei's. Brother, can I not marry? No, this marriage was decided a long time ago. G.U. Bei's refused flatly, his expression still cold. You should rest well at home these 3 days and don't go out. Hearing this, Luo Luo's tears instantly fell. She reached out and grabbed G.U. Bei's sleeve, her expression miserable. Brother, I don't want to marry him. I only like you. Let's go together, leave this place. That way, we can always be together. G.U. Bei's withdrew his sleeve, frowning at her. We are siblings. A hint of madness appeared in Luo Luo's eyes. So what? We've grown up relying on each other. Brother, I'm the most important woman in your life. We should be together forever. G.U. Bei's took a step back, his voice growing colder. You're tired. Rest. After saying that, he turned to leave. Luo Luo immediately chased after him, trying to hug her brother. G.U. Bei's seemed to sense it and dodged to the side. Luo Luo fell awkwardly to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. G.U. Bei's steps did not falter at all. He just left with one sentence. Don't think about what you shouldn't. Then he strode out of the room. I was shocked. Wow, this information is a bit excessive. This plot even has sibling incest. But what worries me most is, was that man who looked 70% like G.U. Bei's actually G.U. Bei's? Brother is gone. Luo was like a different person. She got up from the ground, lightly dusting off her dress. She wiped the tears from her face. A moment before, she looked half dead, but now she had regained her calm. Her mood changed, as if turning a page in a book. Luo walked in front of me, her eyes sinister. Don't let me find you, or I'll be the first to kill you. After saying that, she also left the room. The low pressure in the room instantly dissipated. Lin Xuan let out a heavy sigh. His voice was tinged with a sob, trembling as he said, Sister Shen, I was so scared just now. I thought she was gonna kill us. You were amazing, you didn't even move an inch. I moved my body slightly. There are rules in the instance. Even the bizarre creatures have to follow them. Sister Shen, what should we do now? Lin Xuan asked. At this moment, I just wanted to confirm if that man was G.U. Bei's. First, let's look for the bizarre creature's symbiotic doll. And by the way, see what the mansion owner's last wish is. Lin Xuan agreed, not asking any more questions. The two of us slowly moved towards the door. Hearing no sound outside, I gently turned the doorknob. The corridor outside was empty. We had opened several rooms before the mansion owner returned, so we knew where the master bedroom was. The man who looked like G.U. Bei's should be in the master bedroom. I looked at Lin Xuan beside me. I didn't think he needed to risk himself with me, after all. I was acting for selfish reasons to find G.U. Bei's. I'm going to look for someone, and it might be dangerous. Find a place to hide for now. Lin Xuan didn't make it difficult and immediately agreed. I continued walking towards the master bedroom. When I reached the door, I had the defensive items I had obtained from the previous instance in my hand. Even if the person inside wasn't G.U. Bei's, I could protect myself. I put my hand on the doorknob, twisted it slightly, and with a soft click, the door opened. There was no movement inside. I boldly walked in. Soon, I heard a sound of distress from inside, which sounded very painful. I looked in the direction of the sound and saw a figure curled up in the corner. He was hugging his knees, his head buried between his legs, and his body occasionally twitched, as if he was about to mutate. I hesitated for a moment, but still moved forward. A strong feeling told me that the person in front of me was G.U. Bei's. Bei's, I called softly. The person curled up in the corner heard the voice and lifted his head to look. Even in the darkness, I could clearly see the man's eyes, red as if dripping blood. Almost instantly, G.U. Bei's stood up from the ground and lunged at me, his expression in pain. Who is it? I'm Shin Jejia, I said. My gaze met G.U. Bei's head on. Jejia? G.U. Bei's questioned. A hint of danger flashed in his red and strange pupils. You're human! I looked at his face. Compared to G.U. Bei's, his cheeks had less flesh, which made him look a little more somber. Could he not be G.U. Bei's, just someone who looks similar? Thinking this, I reached out and put my hand on his abs. The man clearly didn't expect a human to be so bold. At such a critical moment, I was still bold enough to touch his abs. The familiar texture and sensation of his abdominals, it was undoubtedly Jiubi's. I had touched them too many times. I could recognize them with dozens of touches. Feeling the touch on his abdomen, the person beneath me even pinched it. Jiubi's was somewhat exasperated and embarrassed. He, the dignified big boss of a horror instance, was actually being flirted with by a human. He subconsciously wanted to kill her, but when his gaze fell upon my face, his hand simply couldn't move. His legs even felt a bit weak, wanting to kneel and speak. In the end, he could only threaten in a low voice, "Get your hand off me." Knowing that the person in front of me was Jiubi's, I relaxed a lot. I even brazenly rubbed his chest. "Didn't you like me touching you like this? Why are you playing shy now?" Jiubi's face instantly turned red, and he stammered, You brazen hussy." I raised an eyebrow. When did Jiubi's become so pure? Just touching him once makes him this shy? You've done far more brazen things many times before, I teased. Jiubi's was speechless. The two of us were extremely close, and as we spoke, our warm breaths mingled, the atmosphere heading towards ambiguity. Just then, a knock suddenly sounded on the door, followed by a sweet female voice. "Brother, I want to talk to you." The person above me stiffened, snapped out of the ambiguous atmosphere, and immediately stood up. "I'm not feeling well. I don't want to talk," Jiubi's replied hoarsely. Luo didn't give up and continued, "Brother, I found that humans have entered the mansion." I half sat up, staring intently at Jiubi's. Jiubi's felt very embarrassed. Why did he feel like this human was sexually harassing him with her eyes? "I know. I'll handle it," Jiubi's replied. Luo's voice paused. "Brother, you're not feeling well. Should I come in and take care of you?" "No need. You should get an early rest." Jiubi's refused directly. Luo was still a little worried. "Brother, I'm getting married in 3 days. Do you not even want to spend alone time with me anymore?" Given Luo's brother complex demeanor, if she came in and found a woman in Jiubi's room, she would surely go crazy and try to hack me to pieces on the spot. While I was thinking this, the door was already opening. "Brother, let me take care of you. I'm not afraid of you." As footsteps sounded, Luo was about to enter.